Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
And I thought I knew it all until I started reading Past the Wire. You should read it too.
And they're on. And the March Leaders Cup this time. Randomized. Comes out for a while to take the lead. Favorite filly has plenty of early speed. Idiomatic to sit third in the early go. Idiomatic is racing in fourth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Past the Wire TV. I am fortunate enough today to be here with Florent Geroux, one of the top jockeys in the country, if not the world, fresh off your eighth Breeders' Cup victory aboard Idiomatic in the Breeders' Cup this day. First off, thanks for coming on the show and congratulations on the eighth Breeders' Cup win.
Well, thank you for the invite and happy to be here with you.
You know, Flo, you're building up quite a list of Breeders' Cup wins. And I got to say, I'm going to give you a lot of accolades, but I'm going to give myself one too, and I'll tell you why. If we go back to 2014, okay, I wrote an article in February about jockeys, and I said, the guy's been good for a while, and I've been watching him for a while, but the most improved jockey in the past year, in my opinion, is Florent Geroux. And that year, you won the first Breeders' Cup on Work All Week, I think it was the name, for Roger Brueggemann.
Yeah.
I felt validated. I felt like, see, I got it right. He win. I said he's the most improved rider, and you ain't stopped winning him since, man.
Yeah, well, you know, it's an easy game when you have good horses underneath you. You know, it's like being a race car driver and you ride the fastest car. So it's
right. If you're driving for Red Bull right now, you're in good shape in Formula One.
That's right, exactly right.
I want to ask you about one of the best horses that we've seen in a long time, and that you rode, okay, and you won a lot of races on a horse. But I'm going to ask you about a race you lost, and I'll tell you why. Gunrunner, war horse, great horse. Now, I take nothing away from Arrogant, who we know ran a monster race in the Dubai World Cup. But one thing I always noticed about that race, okay, that Gunrunner ran that night, every race, if you look at the charts, okay, the winner came from far back. Every race, okay, Gunrunner was on the pace that day and got beat by Arrogant. And he was the only horse that was on the pace early and hung around late. So I always thought that was, even though he lost, because of the conditions that day and how the charts look, that was one of his best races and kind of hinted to what a fantastic horse it was. Can you tell me a little bit about that race that night and what it was like, you know, with Arrogant?
Yeah, for sure, yeah, actually, it was very unusual over there because I stayed the week over there in Dubai, stayed over there at the Medan Hotel, which is located, you know, on the racetrack.
Right.
And something very unusual, it rained the day before. I mean, pouring rain. And I remember the morning of, I woke up and it was pouring rain, and it just doesn't happen very often in Dubai. And and I rode earlier in the car, then the track was still sealed and moisture. By the end of the night, when the Dubai World Cup ran, it was listed as a fast track, but it was that was still very wet underneath. So it was more like a good track than it was a fast track. And I think it probably affected too. And if you look at the PPs of Gunrunner, he lost twice on the sloppy track. Like he didn't really like when the track was wet. He didn't run any good in the Kentucky Jockey Club as a 2-year-old, and he didn't great. I thought he was going to win the Ascol for fun, and it was wet, and he ran a poor fifth, and he came back and keep on winning. So I really thought he didn't dislike the ground, but that day, just a crazy race. I thought I was in a perfect spot and felt underneath me. I had lots of horsepower, and that gray beast came right next to me. And before I blinked my eye, he was gone.
You know, I get it and I understand, but the student of the game in me tells me that maybe if the track condition was a little different that night,
Yeah,
it
I
might have
agree.
been a different outcome. You know, I'm, and again, taking nothing away from Arrogant, he ran a truly great race, but I think Gun Runner did also, and he never got the recognition. It was kind of, I mean, he did for other races, but that race was kind of overshadowed a little bit by Arrogant, and I think it was really a great performance, and a
I
great run
agree. Yeah.
by yourself. Well, let me ask you this: you've ridden a lot of really good horses. Gun Runner, Monomoy Girl, She Dares the Devil, I'm a Chatterbox, Idiomatic, Mandaloon, Cyber. I mean, it's a long list. But when you ride a horse like Gun Runner, that's so special and so good, and lack of a better term, world class. Does he become kind of like, for you personally, a benchmark that when you ride another really good one, you just find yourself comparing to Gun Runner, or no, it's just move on?
Yeah, no, it's a good question actually. You're not trying. Every horse are different, but you always. I try to remember what it was like riding him and what was his best, qualities as a racehorse.
Right,
And I mean, first of all, I think they need the physical. After that, they need the pedigree. The soundness is extremely important to playing for the trainer and the owner to play in a campaign. There are few races, sometimes they circle and they want to run, but if the horse is not very sound, they need to back off or reroute to some other places, and sometimes
right,
it could affect the long time goal at the end of the year. So I
right.
think soundness is extremely important, and they need to have a good mind and a big heart. It's a few boxes they need to check. And this guy Gun Runner, we never missed a walk and always run the races we wanted to. uh, our hands were not forced to run somewhere else just because he had some physical or soundness issue. So
Right.
I think that was I think for a trainer is a it's a dream. You can run exactly what you want, and you can pencil couple races here and there, and try to go to the big one when the horse is ready. But like, yeah, I try to compare, and I'm always hoping I get the next superstar, and that's why I work hard, every day, and I'm hoping I got some stock, and I got some two young horses I really like. I win the past week or so, came back with extremely fast, uh, numbers. So I'm excited.
Well, I know you know who I'm going to ask you about, because I know Fierceness won the Breeders' Cup, and that gets a lot of attention. But you rode a horse the other day that's got a lot of buzz and a lot of people like, and he's on that early Derby list, Nash. Uh, tell me a little bit about Nash. About Nash.
Yeah,
He he come out of that sprint. He didn't win first time out, but he come out of that sprint and he beat a well-regarded Todd Pletcher horse that already had some stakes experience. Didn't have the best trip that day, but it didn't look like it mattered. Nobody was going to beat John Nash. But it was watching the race and watching, from watching you ride over the years, I could just see how confident you were the whole way around. And when he really, the last 3/16 of a mile, and you just kind of give him a little bit of his head, the acceleration was just,
yeah, exactly.
fun to watch. So tell me a little bit about Nash and how good he might be.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's a horse we loved right from the beginning when he came from Godolphin to us at the Brad Cox barn. Always been walking really really well in the morning, and when he starts breathing in the morning with some other maiden, you start stacking them up with some of the better horses, And I mean, we're at the point where the competition was almost too easy for him. So we put him with some of the best 2-year-old, Brad has, and he was able to handle those guys very easily prior his first race.
Right.
Unfortunately, I was not able to ride him that day because I was traveling to New York to ride Timberlake in the Champagne.
Right.
So
Who win? Right.
Flavian filled in for me. And I told him, I said, man, I said, that's the one I really like. I just not sure about the distance.
Uh-huh.
I remember there was 6 furlong and he drew the one. And he always give me a feeling where he has a great mind. And I think the distance will be better for him. The added distance is also, I almost was sure he was going to route. And
Right.
just how the way he was doing it in the morning, just very easily composed. He took his time. He was not in a rush. Um, so I was excited before his first race. And of course, when you run a few days ago, it just I thought he was going to run like this, but he ran faster than I thought he would. I thought he
Right.
was going to win, but I was just wanting to see how. And it just blew my mind when I look at the clock stopping by. I barely asked the horse. He went 2 seconds faster than the other split of the race.
Right.
No, he's a horse with a beautiful pedigree, and we all know, those Godolphin horses, they have runners every single year. So I'm
Right.
I'm hoping I got the one this year.
I can see why. Now let me ask you this. You ran, I think, third in the Derby on Gun Runner. You're a Derby winner on Mandaloon, but he didn't cross the wire first. Does something like that, okay, when you get your Derby and you're a Derby winner in the books, does that make you, and I know everybody wants to win the Derby, but does that make you, now that you got it that way, even hungrier to get it the other way and actually finish first?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. You want to win it the right way. It's like, okay, like any sport, you don't want to win it that way.
Right.
It doesn't matter, the purse money, everything. You just want the feel of crossing the wire, and having, the fans and family and friends, cheering for you. That's
Right.
what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Crossing the finish line first, and
Right.
just enjoying the moment. And no, I'm excited. And you can ask the same question to every single trainer or every single jockeys.
Right. Well,
Even
it's interesting
jockeys who
because,
win it many times, they still want to win it.
yeah, no, it's interesting because now I call you, Flavian, and Julian the French connection, and I call Frankie, now that he's here, Antonio Fresu and Umberto Rispoli, the Italian connection. So we got the French connection, the Italian connection, and two of you guys, you and Flavian, both are Derby winners, but both got it
Yeah.
without finishing first. So it'll be interesting to see which one of you guys gets that
Yeah.
first Derby by actually finishing first. Idiomatic, she just got better and better as the year went on, and then
Yep.
just capped it off with a huge race and just a flawless ride in the distaff. Can you tell me a little bit about Idiomatic and how she progressed throughout the year? And also, when you ride a race like that, okay, where there could be other pace in the race and you're on a filly that likes to go or be close to the race, how much of that is mental and kind of, playing the break and seeing how things go and how versatile she is? So tell me a little bit about Idiomatic and how she progressed and how, that race played out as opposed to what your plans were and how it worked out.
Yeah, actually, Idiomatic came a few years ago from Juddmonte, just beautiful filly, gigantic. That's the right word to describe her. She's super big, and sometimes it's not easy to handle those type of horses because they could get injured or have a little bit nickel easier than the average horses just because of their size. So it took her a while to get going. And this year she just blossomed. She started her campaign at Turfway Park. I was not able to ride her since I was biased at the Fairground. So Chris Landeros was riding her, and after a few starts, when she won the Stakes Latonia, you're like, all right, that's definitely a Stakes filly in the making. But let's see if she's going to be able to transform that form from the poly track into the dirt. But she already broke her maiden. She already run quite good before on the dirt and always breathes good. So we are not really concerned. But sometimes when they run, you want to clarify and see it from your own eyes. So runner in the Shuvi, she won very easily, and from there she just kept on progressing. Not very easy to go. She run, I guess, 9 times. That's
Right.
that's a lot, for those horses nowadays.
Yes.
Most of them they run 5 or 6, and especially at the highest level. And she was able to win the Shuvi, the Delaware Handicap, Personal Insane, Spinster, and top it off with the D-Staff. Those are like big races for fillies, and everyone will be very thrilled to win one of them, and she was able to win them all.
Right.
So
I mean, she's right in the conversation for Horse of the Year. There's a lot of people
yeah,
that think she's going to get it, and she's definitely one of the major contenders for that.
yeah. The only thing you can knock off is like, all right, she didn't beat the boys, but horse of the year for me, it's not horse of the summer, horse of the fall. It's not winning 1 or 2 races. She started
Right.
in January and she ended up in November winning 8 races, which is very hard to do. And the last one, she earned every bit of it. She
Right.
went really hard, and she showed how talented she was, and she won it with her heart. She could have easily folded up and finished fifth, got beat 2 lengths, and everyone would have felt, oh yeah, she tried. She was
Right.
into a hot pace, and she just got tired, but she was able to come through for me.
Turning for home, how were you feeling about your chances in that race? It looked like it was getting really competitive.
Yeah,
And I was watching from the boxes, and outside it's harder to tell on the TV what's really going on, but outside watching from the boxes, it looked like she was going to get beat. And then she just, by the time they got from the top of the stretch to where I was near the finish line, she was just still there, you know what I mean? And still fighting them off. So what was it like for you sitting on her, turning for home?
actually, I came and I was very happy with my position actually coming into the first turn. So I'm like, oh, I was able to like go outside the speed filly without having to pull on me too much, or having do some crazy steering job. So I was pretty amazed about the position I had coming into the first turn. By the alpha mile, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna win for fun. I felt like I had the filly inside me cover. I didn't see nobody coming on my outside, and felt like I had lot of horsepower left. And right turning for home at the quarter pole, I'm like, okay, I still got it. And when she turned for home and she switched lead, I can feel like I was going to go slower and slower. And I was like, boy, I'm like, it's gonna be a long stretch. And the other one going behind me, they were just going as slow as me, or maybe slower. And
Right.
she was able to fight them off. But even when I look at the replay, I watched it quite a few times. You can tell every time those fillies or mares came on her hip, she always had something back to give me. She didn't want to let anyone pass, and I felt like that was her race. She wanted to win the race, and she showed how courageous she was.
Yeah, no, she really did. And it was a great ride too, because she really had to, work for that one and get her to give you everything that she had. Speaking of that, two things that come up a lot now. One is HISA and the crop rule. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand what the crop is like, how soft it is, that it doesn't hurt. Can you talk a little bit about what the new crops are and how they actually impact the horse, and what your feeling is towards their being safe and not really
Yeah.
dangerous or in pain? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, now we have like some crops, adjusted to make sure the horses don't get hurt or it doesn't hurt the animal. It's very padded. We can use only a certain type of whip. They need to be approved or we're not allowed to ride with them. They either the Pro Cush, it's like big padded, at the end
Right.
of the whip, or another one called the GT 360, designed by Ramon Dominguez. It's like almost like
Right.
a big circular things, almost look
Uh-huh.
like a sausage, and
Right.
those things like if I compare it to you, it's like someone shoots you with a BB gun. It's gonna sting. It's gonna hurt. You're not gonna get killed by it, but you're gonna feel it.
Right.
And somebody shoots you with a Nerf gun, it's not nothing is happening, and it's
Right.
exactly what it is, and it
Right.
makes a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
So now you hear it's like pow pow, but that's all it makes.
Right.
But no, I think we all need to do better, with things. I don't know really how the perception of the horse players, because I
Uh-huh.
think the client is king. That's what I feel like.
Right.
People like you are the one betting on the horses and how keep our industry going. And I think we need to please the people who bet horses, but at the same time, I do feel we need the whip, to um, to guide the horse. It's necessary. I will not ride without one because you
Right.
never know what those are living animals. If they want to make a right, they're gonna make a right. They are
Right.
1,000 pound and we are 100 pound. And if they want to go right, there's nothing we can do about it. They have a mind of their own. But at the same time, maybe back in the days, when those guys, used to eat those horses, 25 times, maybe not as necessary. I feel like some of the rider ride better now with the limited, time whipping the horse, keep them straighter. But I don't know. It's like some other countries, especially in Asia, they have unlimited, heat, on their horses, or in Australia doesn't affect them. It's whatever works. But I feel like now those whips nowadays, to come back to your question, are a lot safer and a lot kinder on those horses.
Right. And that's my perception as well. And I think it's important to get that out there so people understand that about the sport. How much preparation do you do when you ride? Not physically, but mentally. Do you study the racing form? Do you watch replays when you go out to ride in a lot of these big races? And you've become a big race rider now. How mentally prepared do you have to be? I mean, physically, I know you guys got to be in great shape. Okay. But how mentally prepared do you have to be? And is it an advantage to be mentally prepared over a rider who may, let's say, not be as studious or prepared as another?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. Actually, it's extremely important. I feel like you need to be prepared, but you cannot be over prepared. Makes any sense? Because
Yes.
after that, there's too much things in your head and things can go wrong. Gates open and your plane is out of the window. Most of
Right.
the time when I go out of there, I study really big races like this. First of all, my horse. If it's a horse I've been on many times, then I know how he can handle different situation. If I don't know the horse, then I'm gonna watch replays and try to get familiar with the horse. Uh, Always, don't feel bad, about asking questions to the trainers. The more feedback you have about the horse, sometimes the better it is. Uh, and at the end of the day, I think when I go big races like Idiomatic, I have plan A, I have plan B, I have plan C.
Right.
Gates open, or sometime gates open and you have no plan. Then I readjust. But I had a good game plan for that race. Uh, the way it's set up, I thought he was going to set up exactly the way it was.
Right.
I watched many of those horses running. Uh, I know my filly. and I really thought on paper randomized was the quickest. She's was a very athletic filly, very fast on her feet, especially leaving the gate. There's a filly next to me, Adamano, big filly, takes her a little while, almost like driving like a diesel truck, you know. She
Right.
can set up some good fraction, but not as quick getting there. And there was also a little bit of a search results, was in the middle, but she's more like a stalking than a horse who likes to lead. So I would just wanted to break sharp, first of all,
Right.
according to my filly, if she was going to break sharp. Then from there, try to hustle her a little bit and try to create a separation from me and randomize from the twos of fillies, you know.
Right.
And from there, when I look right, I was able to, like, you know, shift lane without, you know, making a mess or putting somebody in danger or crossing over the pass.
Right.
And I think it was the plan. I was able to execute the plan exactly how I thought was my plan A, and that was the that was the plan I used.
That's good when plan A works out. I imagine it's a good feeling. You gonna winter at the fairgrounds?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I guess that's where Nash is probably heading, that route, fairground route, as far as you know.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, like, my decision to go to the Fragon is a winter base. I've been there since, you know, I will say around 10 years, and it's a place where the some of the, you know, most successful trainer in the Midwest bring their
Right.
best horses. Uh, Brad Cox, you know, who I ride a lot, but also Steve Asmussen too brings
Right.
all the good one. They do run in Arkansas or
Right.
other places, you know, Florida, or sometime, you know. Now we prep those horses for the Middle East over there too.
Right.
So I think for me to be there and be able to put my hands on some of those horses are extremely important. Maybe I'm taking a little bit of a hit, you know, during the winter meet, while I can go maybe somewhere else, like in Arkansas, where there's more money.
Right.
But those horses are not present over there. They're running there, but they're not stable
Right.
there. So that's why I go there. And horse like, you know, Nash, you know, you have maybe a potential horse, you know, for the Derby prep. It'd be nice, you know, if I go over there. I don't know if if Brad and the owner are going to use the route of the Fairgrounds or Arkansas, or
Right.
but it's gonna depend to the horse, it depend to them as well.
I would imagine you'll go wherever he go wherever he goes. Yeah. Um, I'll end with this, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. You could tell me. I think, I mean, you're all around excellent rider, and you've really elevated to the top, to the top of the game. But personally, when I watch you and I see Flo on the lead, I get very confident if I bet on you, and I get very discouraged if I didn't.
Yeah.
So would you consider yourself, or would you consider that like one of your better attributes, a speed rider, Flow on the lead, just, go
Yeah,
flow.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I've been some very successful on the lead, and I'm not afraid to take it. But in a certain extent, you know, I don't like to go just to go. And some other riders, they like to go at all cost. And I feel like I'm more like, I feel like the trainer and the owner, they ride me. They know I'm not afraid of going. But, you know, with a feel like Idiomatic, she won a few times wire to wire. But I was not in my head, okay, I'm going to go no matter what, just because I'm inside and user speed feel is outside. So
Right,
you also need to try to judge the pace and feel the horse. I think when we call that having a clock.
right,
So trying to feel the speed and the energy of the horse underneath you, that's how you win races. You just need to feel the horse, listen to the horse. A guy like Pat Day, you know, used to be an amazing jockey. Was not, you know, the most strongest jockey, but extremely smart and have an amazing sense of the pace. And he won thousand of races like this just because he just let the horse be the horse and feel the horse and pull the trigger at the right time.
and what you said, having a clock, that's basically whether you're breezing a horse or when you're riding a race, like when you're out there on Nash and you've got a 2-length lead going around, um you know pretty close to what the fraction and the splits are. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm watching the race and I see them up there, but you know you went in 46, 47, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
that
Very
become like
close. You know,
second
like
nature? Does that become like second nature, or do you actually like time it in your head, like count it?
no, I don't count. You just feel, you know, with like how the horse, you know, pull underneath you and just the speed you are going. It's like you when you watch races. Sometimes you don't necessarily need to see the fraction to feel like, oh, those guys, they in
Going
front, they're
fast.
smoking. You watch thousands of races, you know when it's gonna look like a 47 or when it's gonna be a 45 flat. If
Right.
you see two horses head to head and they create a separation of like 5, 6 lengths in front of the
Right.
third horse, you're like, oh, they're cooking here. They're going fast. I don't like my chances.
Right.
So it's like you know, it's like you said, it's became like a second nature, and you just know it.
Flo, listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on you
Oh, you're welcome.
the show. Appreciate your time. I admire your success. I mean, we just looking at the Breeders' Cups, Idiomatic, Monomoy Girl, another great one, you know, and Pearl, Gun Runner, just so many horses.
Hopefully Nash
Nash.
coming
Right,
back next year if Nash
right,
wins something
right.
good.
We'll be next year. We'll talk after the Derby. Maybe we'll be talking about Nash. We'll get you back on and we'll talk about Nash. And we can remember when we talked about him before Thanksgiving, getting the
sure.
road.
No,
Thank you so
exactly.
much, man.
You're
Truly
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'll shut off the camera. We say goodbye off camera. Okay.
Okay, awesome. No problem.
This would not be the Breeders' Cup if Game of Silks was not in the house. They are in the house big time, and they're going to have horses on the racetrack as well. So, Game of Silks, say hello.
Yeah.
Tracking trips with Pick 6 King John Stettin. It's one of the best tools in horse racing for any level of player. It's your second set of eyes, spotting troubled trips, betting angles, track trends, horses to watch and favorites to fade, 10 figs, ticket structure, and more. At Tracking Trips, you're a friend with benefits. Not a member? You must hate winning money. Join Tracking Trips now. Visit pastthewire.com and we'll see you in the winner's circle. Remember, nobody does it better.
Classic. Vino Rosso has taken the lead. And it's a vintage performance by Vino Rosso.
White Abarrio, interesting as all as anybody in the race. Third time Rick Dutrow. First time in the Met Mile that he run this horse, had a horrible trip, still runs a 0.5 negative number. Comes back. Those of you that watch the show know I loved him in the Whitney. I think he was 10-1, a ridiculous Christmas gift of a price.
The top of the stretch in the Whitney, and White Abarrio is the leader narrowly over Giant Game.
We think that he should improve off of his last race. And, you know, if he gets a clean trip, we're expecting him to run big.
Look at White Abarrio and a Rad Ortiz Jr. in a runaway. White Abarrio wins by almost 6
And with
lengths.
the short field, you know, Mark and Rick talked and we decided, hey, let's take a shot here. We thought he would run well, but we didn't know he was going to run that well, John.
Runs a 6 negative, by far faster than anybody in the race. He run a race. I'm not going to compare it to the Flightline Pacific Classic, which was just off the charts, but he ran by far the best race of any horse this year to date that has run, by far.
So I'm a big believer in when they run that kind of big race off the top, you got to give them some time off, freshen them up, let them recover from the number, which when Rick and I discussed it, we thought it was best to send them out here middle of September and prepare him over here over the track surface at Santa Anita. It can be a little difficult. So he's going to have 5 or 6 breezes over this surface. He's settled in really nice.
Rick Dutrow packed his suitcase, head out west, got to Santa Anita early with this horse. Didn't even consider a prep off the Whitney. He was the one that kind of set the tone this year for coming in fresh. A lot of people kind of followed his lead because the Whitney was before any of those other races. After the Whitney, he said, I'm going right to the Classic. Packed up his game, head out west, and he's been there since with White Abarrio.
We'll probably have to use him a little more earlier than we want to get in a tactical position behind the speed, and we'd like to be in the first horse and the second flight of horses, stalking those horses to be able to get first run at the quarter pole.
Bottom line is this, he's had enough time to recover from that. Is he gonna regress? He can regress and win. He can regress 2, 3, 4 points and still win the race off that. If he runs anything back close to that, the race is for second. It's as simple as that.
But it is White Abarrio and a Rad Ortiz, and they have won the Breeders' Cup Classic.
I think people deserve a second chance in life, right? And I don't think anyone in the industry questions Rick as a horseman at all. I mean, you know, I've talked to a few people and they've all said he's probably one of the better horsemen that they know. So we definitely made the right decision, you know, and we're excited for Rick to be back, you know, in the Classic and have an opportunity.
It's exciting. You know, Rick's only been back a few months. I don't know if, you know, 3 months ago he expected to have this kind of horse this fast, but, you know, he's game for anything. He's definitely somebody that, you know, doesn't turn down too much, especially when it comes to being around a nice horse. So, you know, we're very fortunate that we've been able to, you know, be around him this long, and, you know, that we've been able to keep him going in the right direction. And, you know, hopefully after this, you know, we get to prepare for, you know, the next big one.
Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING. Get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator exclusively on DRF Bets.
Dream to have some racehorses, and 2002 we talked to each other and said, let's start this up. Let's get something going on.
Spice Perfection wins the Grade 1
La Brea.
Memory bank for Mike Stettin and those who dare to dream.
Star of Kodiak and Mitchell Burrow, 23-1 to win it.
No better thrills. I mean, you're so pumped up and your adrenaline and your heart's pounding.
We feel a responsibility and a joy of helping people that normally could not get involved with horses into this game.
People have become friends by joining and going to the races and winning, and people since 2002 that you just met.
It's the greatest thrill of their life other than having their kids born. And we kind of feel the same way.
Quick Tempo takes out the Sugar Bowl Stakes.
Because we just love winning and love competing and take it serious.
People just thank us for that. It's like I never would have gotten involved, never would have been able to experience that, and just the thrills, and it's really cool to get that kind of feedback.
Cheeto DePaggio here, Mob King. Anytime I'm wanting to know any information about the sport of kings, horse racing, I look to my man Jonathan Stettin, PassTheWire.com. And if you're looking to bet, like I always am, no better source than Jonathan. They don't call him the Pick Six King for nothing. So why don't you do what I do with anything that pertains to horse racing? PassTheWire.com. Tell him Cheeto DePaggio sent you.
Does it better.